Hello and welcome to the eighth hour of the 2022 A Second Chance 12-hour fundraising event to help A Second Chance bring awareness and advocate for the transplant community and other life-threatening illnesses. My name is Kimberly Genovese. I'm the co-host with Dorothy O'Dell for Unstoppable Overcomers, and it's our privilege to get to be a part of this event. Tonight's event runs until 8 p.m. PST and is bringing awareness of the programs that A Second Chance has had the honor of working with in the past, that is also doing great work in the community. If you'd like to donate, you can do so by going to www.a2secondchance.net/donate. Or to donate by check, you can make it out to Philip Jones Jr. and mail it to Philip Jones, 11009 Atkinson Avenue, Inglewood, California, 90303. Guys, funding is critical as we don't charge for any of our assistance. And with that, please don't hesitate to donate and be a part of this amazing cause. And with that, we are super excited to join with us this hour. But Bella, I'm fumbling all over myself here. I'm just like so in awe of who you are. But we get to work with Bella tonight and interview Bella, and we're just so excited to have you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I look at this as like a telethon, a fundraiser, just such a worthy cause. And, as usual, I thank Phil and Tafaro for just all the wonderful work that they're doing with the Second Chance and the organization, and happy to be asked to come aboard to that and to be here with everybody.
Yeah, so great. So great. Well, Bella, without hesitation, let's just jump right into it. Why don't you tell us about how your journey began with chronic kidney disease?
Yeah, so my journey began, and I'm going to go through it quick because I know there's other questions, and I want to be able to share as much as we can for such a wonderful, cause like this. But it began back in 1994. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I currently reside in Houston, Texas. Actually, very recently, I moved. So let me get to me being in Chicago.
Slow down, Bella. We got an hour.
Okay. I'm like, wait. I just wanted the people to know where I am now, giving some love for the Lone State, and formerly from Chicago, but I'm a retired Chicago police officer. I retired after almost 22 years of service. I came on the job in 93. And I was a single parent at that time with two children. At that time, my daughter was the youngest at 6 months old when I got on the police department, and my son was 13. As you can imagine, that was a very challenging time, being a mom, being a single mom, and also trying to get through the police academy. I sometimes even question if that was played a little bit of role in my latter part of dealing with chronic kidney disease, only because I was pregnant with her at 31. And pregnancy, as we know, can be very, very hard, on the body. And so my life was actually in overdrive, at that time. But by the grace of God, I made it through the academy, joined up with the force as a crime fighter. And probably in early 1994, right off my probationary status, I was coming up, it was one of my birthdays was coming up. And some friends wanted to go out of town, take me to Wisconsin Dells to hang out for my birthday, which I was so excited about that.
Who doesn't want to go to Wisconsin Dells, right?
I know. It was, it was a lot of fun back then. Just for the relaxational factor. We had this beautiful cabin, and it was great. It was such a great place to relax because of the fact that the part I didn't like about being on the job was I got thrown on midnights, and my body didn't know anything about nighttime, let alone chasing people,
Yeah.
the things that come along with
Yeah.
being a law enforcement officer.
Sure.
And it's a multitude of different tasks.
Absolutely.
So, and I wasn't sleeping well, of course, because my body was just so like in shock and out of whack,
Yeah.
So they thought that that would be a very relaxing trip. And in fact, it would have been, I should say. It was only about a 3-hour drive from Chicago. And on the way, I was feeling yucky. That's how I felt at that time. And that's what I called it. It was, I'll tell you some of the things I was experiencing. I was urinating. I had the urge to urinate a lot, but the output was minimal. That was strange to me, but didn't give it too much thought. I was very, very extremely fatigued. There's a difference between fatigued and just literally, being exhausted.
Tired. Yeah.
Just tired, unbelievably tired. And I had, in fact, slept the day before. So I couldn't understand that. I had a excruciating headache. I'm not a headache person, never was. So that was a little unusual for me. Yet we all equated that to it's the hours,
Yeah, I mean, the symptoms are so easily blown off, right?
Yeah, they are. And especially when you haven't encountered, Kim, anything like that before, I would go work out after work instead of going home. I had such a wonderful support base from my kids, and my son was, in high school, and I had someone to tend to my daughter. I couldn't go to sleep once I got off. So I would go work out, And by the way, let me just say, I was because a lot of people want to equate these illnesses with being in bad physical shape. And that is so not true. I was in amazing physical shape, the best shape, I would say, of my life at that time. In fact, going in the academy as a female wearing a size 16, probably because of my baby weight, and coming out like at a perfect 7. Okay, so the body was banging, the toned it.
Well, you're banging it now, by the way. She just already knows. She came on screen, and I was like, "Wow, drop dead gorgeous." How am I not going to bring that up, right?
Thank you so much. You are as beautiful as well. And so okay, we're there. We're trying to have a little dinner. I'm not hungry. I'm just feeling like crap, And so we got there. It was kind of late at night, maybe about 8:30. And they were like, "Well, why don't you just go on and get some rest tonight? We've got, the next 3 days here. We'll start over tomorrow." And I thought that was a great idea, which I did. And I was getting up through the night, again, frequently going to the bathroom. But each time my urine output was minimalized. So I just couldn't understand. It was, like if you're intentionally, while you're urinating, kind of stopping yourself in between. And you know what I mean? But you're not in control of it, right?
Yeah, totally.
So by the next morning, I think I remember the last time I got up to go to the restroom, I was nauseous. And I'm like, okay, my head's pounding. I'm nauseous. I'm not urinating properly. Something's wrong with me. I got to go home. I want to go back to Chicago. Something's not right. So I woke, everybody up. I said, listen, I am feeling awful. I haven't slept much all night. I know you guys had to hear me going up, I think I should go home. I think you guys need to take me back to Chicago. And okay, no problem. Let us get everything together. Well, let's go to the hospital here. I'm like, no way. I want to go back to Chicago.
I didn't say I wanted to go to a hospital. I want to go home.
Small towns, kind of. I just kind of rather be on, if you can possibly do so and safely get to what's familiar ground to you.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to get out of Wisconsin, bottom line. And we're on the way. And probably after almost maybe an hour into our commute, I'm trying to lay back and get some sleep. And it's just not working. I'm restless. They're trying to comfort me, and I got to go to the bathroom. I mean, we had several bathroom trips. We go in the restroom. It was kind of the one where it was on the side of the gas station.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and so I went and did that. They gassed up, got back in the car. They were like, just lay down, relax. We're gonna be there in a couple of hours, just try to go to sleep. And so I did that, but I was lying there with my eyes closed, and it seemed as though I was finally trying to nod off. Excuse me, and I heard one of my friends say, Bella, where's your purse? Where's your purse at? And I go, my purse? And yeah, because I remember you had it next to you in the car when we were on the way, and you took it in the bathroom, but I don't see it, and fumbling in the back seat, no purse back here. And I go, I don't know, I don't care, just leave me alone. And so that is not my behavior, my demeanor. I say that to say I was extremely agitated, in a very agitated state. After, I'll get to that later, the things that caused that. And they whipped that car around and went probably 25 miles back to that station. I found this out later, and my purse, I had left it in that bathroom. They had to get the man to unlock the door. Thank God no one had gone in there. My purse was in there next to the sink with my duty weapon, probably about $200 in cash in it, my badge, everything, my credit cards. That's how out of it I was, And so we get back, they come back, they've got the purse. We go on our way again. I dozed off for half an hour, woke up. When I opened my eyes, I couldn't see. I was completely blind.
Oh my
God. I was screaming. I'm like, where are my glasses? Because I'm a person that's very nearsighted. I've been wearing contacts since I was in the 7th grade. And if I don't have those lenses on, my glasses are on. Yeah. And so they were like, well, you had your lenses on and you don't have your glasses. And I'm like, no, I can't see. So I'm thinking I must not have my
right, of course. Lenses. Yeah.
I feel this air, but I can't see hand. And I was like, she said, I couldn't see a thing. I just remember feeling that car gunning and all the way to Chicago. The miracle was we never got stopped because they said they were pushing like 100. And it's funny now, but as they're telling me the story, once all the smoke clears,
literally,
thank you,
from the fumes of the car.
No pun intended, right? But we get to the ER, they run in there, hey, we need some help out here. They go in there, what's going on with her? What, her symptoms, and they were telling her, and then they were talking to me, and the nurse said, I felt a blood pressure cuff slap on my arm, and they were like, just calm down, honey, calm down, because your blood pressure, it hasn't even registered. And finish registering, and we can see it's high. So we just need you to just calm down a little bit, So I'm, of course, very anxious, and afraid. I mean, I'm blind, I can't see. Yeah. And so when imagine. They were, I'm telling you, it was the scariest time of my life ever. And she said, yeah, okay. The doctor said, what's her blood? She's 180 over 120. That's how high it was. He had told them, which they told me later, if they had gotten me there like 15, 20 minutes later, I was about to have a massive stroke. Wow. And so right away, all the questions, are you taking anything? Do you do drugs? The usual, no, she's a cop. No, she doesn't do drugs. She just got on the police department, and they were like, we're not, that we have to ask these questions. And I'm like, I know, but they're like, we don't understand. She can't see anymore. And they said it's because of, the blood pressure had gotten that high that it took my vision away. Now, I'm not sure if that will happen to everyone, but it happened to me.
Yeah. And it's great for people to know that.
Absolutely. If because it's a forewarning, if your vision starts to act up and especially I would even say if you've never had vision issues before. Again, I was a little visually challenged in the sense of being a lens wearer, but 2020 with them on. So
Yeah.
obviously something's wrong.
Yeah.
And so I was, of course, admitted to the hospital, and the nurse said, here, lift your tongue up. This is nitro. This is going to take your blood pressure down really fast, but it's going to make your head hurt a little bit. I'm like, no, my head's about to explode. And she said, we got to give you this, honey. We got to give you this. So I took it. They admitted me right away, started a series of tests, and then they were asking me, did anyone in my family have kidney problems? Did I have kidney problems? No, I'm in excellent health. I'm thinking I'm like, there is no way I would have made it through all the strategic police physical attribute, the things that
yeah. Yeah, right. I mean,
know,
because you were under constant observation.
Constant observation, a couple of times in the beginning, and you get tested for a few things before everything is finalized. They would have found that would have been found.
Yeah,
that's what I thought, but later I came to realize why my theory to why that didn't happen. But at any rate, I said my grandmother actually has kidney disease. My grandmother didn't get diagnosed with it until she was about 70. And wow. Yeah, and of course, oftentimes these things are viewed as genetic. And so my grandmother, God rest her soul, endured dialysis for 15, almost 16 years. A transplant was never a prospect for her because of her age.
Yeah.
And all the things she was enduring with her health. And so anyway, they did a biopsy on me, and the next day the doctor came in and he basically told me, this is what you have, which was called focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, all in one name. And they short term it FSGS. Now, FSGS is known as one of the worst kidney diseases you can have because of the fact that what it is the scarring of the glomeruli. So it's like determined to destroy the glomeruli.
Hold on, what's the glomeruli?
Glomeruli, that's in the kidney. Yeah, it's a part of the kidney that keeps that's part of the filtering of the kidneys. Okay. And
it's the critical.
It performs a critical function, within the kidney, and it when it's getting scarred, it's destroying it. Slowly destroying the glomeruli.
It's scarred. Forgive me, but like scarring cannot regenerate.
It cannot regenerate. Exactly, Kimberly. So where do you go from here? So that is what I was told. I was told that eventually I would be looking at needing a kidney transplant, and if were not able for some reason to get that right away, because they said it's going to get progressively worse. Well, how long is that? We don't know. What can I do? And I just remember thinking, I went through all the stages that anyone would go through. Why me? Why did this happen to me? I'm angry. I've worked so hard to get where I was in my career. Sure. What about my children? I'm thinking doom and gloom. I really was at that time, until God came in and changed my heart about that and showed me, this is what we're going to do, and this is what I need you to do. And I said to them, what can I do, to the doctors, to slow this down? And they said, well, it's going to do what it does, but we would like to put you on prednisone to help slow it down. And I'm listening as he's saying this, and my mind is in so many places. And I'm like, wait a second. And I'm thinking, where do I know that name from? And I realized it was from a family member who had a friend who was on that. And this friend grew up with them. So I'm really familiar with that person. And I saw what it did to them over the years. And I go, wait, is that drug that blows people up really big, and they eat a lot uncontrollably, and well, yeah, you'll probably gain some weight, and I'm like, nope, I'm not taking that. I literally said, I'm a new cop. I can't be walking around like a blimp and effectively do my job. And
Right.
I didn't mean any harm or disrespect to anyone when I was saying that, because
No.
again, you know, I just know what I saw it do to this person, and that terrified me.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well, we can't force you to take it, of course, but it does help slow it down. I understand. So tell me what else I can do. Well, lower your protein intake, because protein can be one of the destroyers of a person in your situation.
Bella, I'm actually going to have you take a breath right now, because what you're saying and sharing is so brilliant. I really want to make sure the viewers heard what you just said, because we're getting better as a society, but
Mm-hmm.
people tend to go into hospitals and just do what they're told. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you just shared was so brilliant. Is like, no, that's what you want me to do. Now, what are my other choices? And
Correct.
I honor you, and
Mm-hmm.
I just really want people to hear that,
Yeah.
because it's so critical with all
Yeah.
of it, right? Like the whole
Yeah.
world of it, transplant,
Yeah.
all of it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
thank you
Mm-hmm.
for being that testimony and that living
Mm.
example of the gorgeousness that now exists that wouldn't have happened if you'd have just said, "Okay, I'm just going to do what you tell me to do."
Yeah, yeah, and thank you, Kim. But you know, I do urge people. I'm not saying to even do what I did, in the sense of my choices that I made. Um, but I say you should follow your doctor's orders. I think the critical part is, how bad is your situation? That's what you
Yeah,
have to look at.
yeah,
I had lost, okay, I could tell you my situation pretty much the way it was explained to me, more in layman terms. You've got one kidney that's pretty much gone already. That's why you got sick. I got sick, excuse me, I'm not trying to talk in third person, because it was my body, that amazing thing that we have, our body, that's saying, hey, whoa, wait, something's wrong,
hmm,
right?
yeah,
And it's firing all these signals in different ways. And, it's telling you something is not right. When I'm trying to urinate and it's not quite the normal way, when I have a headache that won't go away, no matter how much Tylenol I
yeah,
take,
yeah,
right? When
yeah,
I'm tired, even after I've slept, this is your body telling
and you're
you.
blind.
And oh, then that
Let's not
that
leave
that
that
was,
one out. Yeah.
yeah, that was
Mhm.
like, okay, you're not listening to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you want to go here for your birthday, but you're not listening to your body.
Mhm.
Something's not right. So
Yeah.
so yes, thank you. You do have to be an advocate for your own health. I'm telling you, because I kind of feel if you don't, you will be on all type of medications.
Yeah. And it's
You
such a
know,
slippery slope,
yes, yes,
It's well intentioned, and it's more surface than it is source.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. And
mhm.
I say try again, not in every situation, but first ask, do you think, what can I do? And again, back to that, I asked,
Mhm.
what can I do? He said, lower your protein. And I go, okay, so like red meat. And he said, yeah, I said, I'm not eating it anymore. He goes, no, 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 Audrey. I'm not saying you don't have to eat it. But see, this is the way I operate. Anything that's not good in my life, I'm going to cut it out.
Yeah.
Boom, you out of here. People, food, you know.
Y'all hear that?
I'm serious, okay? I
Right. No,
mean,
I love it. I love it. People
and
need to get it
I
right up
am a
front.
person of second chances. Okay, that's why I do
But
believe in a
not
second
third,
chance.
fourth, and fifth. Yeah.
No, no. At some point, you got to say, wait a second, you are unhealthy,
Yeah.
and so I said, no, it would be better for me if I do it like this. I did have the discipline to do it, and to this day, I still don't eat red meat, you know. Um, and so speeding that up, I was put on a few things like a phosphate binder, because your phosphate levels can go too high. That's not good on your heart, little things. So I made food changes. I didn't really need, with the red meat, I wasn't a bad eater. I didn't need to do exercise, change exercise. I wasn't overweight. I was in great shape. So that journey leading up to transplantation wasn't a terrible journey. And I was still a cop on the street, a mom to my children, and doing all these things. So I would say my illness got to a more aggressive stage almost 8 years later.
Wow.
So I did really, really well.
Wow.
And at that time, I was so intent during that 8-year course between not just being a good police officer and a good mom, but I felt the desire and the calling to become an advocate for organ donation, transplantation, because it was surely new to me in a sense. I was familiar with it. I was a donor on my license, excuse me, but I didn't know anything like that. I knew what my grandmother was going through, so I knew something about kidney disease, don't get me wrong. And as fate would have it, my godson, who he was one of my son's best friends all through high school, he actually worked part-time for the National Kidney Foundation of Illinois. Now, they would not put me on that list until my kidney disease had to, you have to be at a certain level with kidney function to be put on that list if it's for a potential deceased donor. If you have a living donor, you can get, and they're good to go with those tests and all the things that they have to do and take. You can get that transplant, as ASAP. But when you're going to get it through deceased donation, your renal function has to really have diminished, really bad. And then there's, of course, the list with UNOS, United Network of Organ Sharing. So, and there, in Illinois at that time, back in 2000 and, what would that have been? 2003. The list was, I was 5 years out, 5 years at that time. And so I was blessed to say, and am blessed to say, that I had 4 potential living donors.
Wow.
And it was just a blessing to have excellent insurance, because my insurance covered all of them. As well. They're testing, very aggressive and testing that they have to go through. So I give praise to all the living organ donors. Let me say that right now.
Absolutely.
I give you guys.
I'll join you
on that
one.
They are just such awesome people. My girl Trish was just on the show, and what she did for her bestie. But they fell through, 3 of them. They fell through for one reason or another. Now, let me say, when you're being tested as a living donor, they're looking out for you as the donor. Don't think that this is just about, give us this kidney. It's not. They want to make sure you're okay, not that you have to be in excellent health, not only physically, but mentally. They have to go through some psych eval as well.
That makes sense.
Because it makes total sense. And so, but the and I don't know if they still do this, but what I do know back then is if that person, let's say, wanted to really do that, got through most of it or even all of it, and then said, oh gosh, I just don't think I could do this. I thought I could. I don't know how I'm going to tell her or him, because I just love them so much, and I feel awful. They will laugh at that person. They will tell the recipient, well, unfortunately, they had some things in their testing that didn't. Hey, sorry, I spilled the beans, y'all, on that, because I always felt I would rather you be honest with me. I'm going to love you still for what, even for putting forth the effort. And that is a big responsibility. It's a lot to ask, because it's not just about you giving of yourself. If you have a family, and we all do, or if you're married, or if you have children, and what if something happens to,
Exactly.
I get it. I get it. I do. But in my case, I know that mine was predestined to be the person who it ended up being. And that person, my son was about to get married. That's how fast forward we've gone in this time. Because if you remember, I said I came on the police department when my kids were young. My son was 13. So now my son's about to get married. He's already, graduated from, his undergrad and about to go in for his master's, and as well as my godson, who was in another state by then attending school for his master's. And we're at the rehearsal dinner, and the last person that had went forth to donate, that one stung, because they were having some life problems, not with their health or anything, but when they had this issue in their life, I tried to get them to back out early on, and they wouldn't do it. And they in fact said they were led to do it. Like, I want to do this, I'm going to be okay. I'm like, you are enduring a life altering event. And it was actually a potential divorce. And it's too much responsibility. So my nephrologist at that time, as I'm sharing this with her, she said, I commend you. For, like, me? For what? She's the one. No, she said, because most patients, they want that kidney, and they ain't going to try to talk nobody out of it. And here you are trying to talk her out of it. You're in here crying because of what she's going through. And I'm just saying, I commend you for that. And she said, and I'll say this, she's a grown woman. If she really knows, don't block her from blessing you if that's what she wants to do.
Amen. Amen.
And I was like, wow, and so we further continued with the furtherance of her testing. The Discovery Health Channel was following my story at that time. So my story would have been on the Discovery Health Channel. And we were sitting down with the transplant team, preparing to set the date. Discovery Health was in there filming. She was actually an employee at the hospital. At that time, we were waiting for her to come down, and she was running behind. Not unusual, but after it got about 25, 30 minutes, this is a team. They're like, they got to move on. And so they were saying, do you want to give her a call? And no sooner than they said that, my cell phone rang. And I said, hey, where you at? Everybody's waiting. And and she said, listen, I'm sorry, I got some bad news. And I'm like, what? I was scared something had happened to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she said, I don't know how to say this. And something just came over me. And, I told Discovery, stop filming, because I know my face changed,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pull out. And I said, what? Yeah, because I am having some problems, and she's trying to tell me these issues, and it had nothing to do with what I thought, which would have been a divorce. It's about something else. And I said, okay, stop. All right. And she said, please don't be upset. I said, no, it's fine. It's fine. I gotta go. I just let me get off this phone, because I didn't want to say something that I would later regret. I was in a place of devastation, because there were so many false starts that I thought were going to be positives. And so, bottom line, back to fast forward to, we are at this rehearsal dinner for my son. My godson doesn't know about this yet, because everybody's thinking this is a go with her. He asked me when was the date, because he wanted to come back in town to make sure he was there to be at the hospital for me, for us, for the family. And I kind of blew him off a little bit. And I think he was in a nice way. I said, oh, we'll talk about it later. We don't need to talk about that right now. And he went and asked my son about it, and my son told him. And then he came back over to me. He said, oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry. But you know what? I'm getting tested while I'm here. And I said, no, you're not. You're going to go back to school and finish what you're doing. I'm done. I'm going to go on dialysis, and it's going to be okay. He said, I'm going. So my doctor told me I was going to have to go on dialysis. My creatinine was going too high. It was
Okay.
stable for all those years, and it was now starting to increase. And she said, have a good time at Brian's wedding, but when you come back, we are going to have to put you on some dialysis because I don't want you to be so sick. Wake up one morning and be so sick. Either you can't get out of bed or that kidney comes up and you're not going to be able to receive it.
Yeah.
So that's the way that part ended. And I said, okay, went to the wedding. My son had a beautiful wedding. My godson went and got tested, which is what I told him not to do. And each person is assigned their own nephrologist who's going to be a donor. It's like an attorney conflict of interest. If you've got mine, we got the same attorney. So you get your own nephrologist. Now, unfortunately, the nephrologist he was assigned was the same one who turned down my previous potential donors. And so he turned my godson down after all the testing.
Wow.
He finished some testing while he was there, and he finished the rest in Tennessee, where he was going to school. So he was diligent about this. And my godson was at 25 years old at that time, not a smoker, not a drinker, vegetarian. He turned him down because his calcium level was a fraction of a point higher than the allowable. I kid you not. And that's the part that got me. Had he told me anything else, I'm like, oh no, I'm glad. I don't want him to be. I go, are you kidding me? I said, I told my doctor, he's a vegetarian. He eats, cheeses and things. Anybody's calcium is going to overcompensate for things that she said, I know. She said, I am so sorry, Audrey. If I could override him, I would, but I can't. I just cannot. And I know you're upset. I was like, oh my God. So I ran into him in the hallway and I said, can I talk to you a second? Have I wronged you in another life?
You did not.
Yes,
you
I
did.
did.
Not do that.
Listen, girl, I was a cop. Okay.
Now that I say that, I'm surprised you were that nice about it. Yeah.
Have I wronged? Well, and I'm a much more this kind of person now. Yes. But I was like, he was like, excuse me? And I go, have I wronged you? And he said, I don't know what you mean. I go, because you turned down a fourth donor for me. Are you kidding me? So I'm thinking, he must have known me in his former life. And I look like this person. Or what? He goes, ma'am, no, Miss Langston, no, it's just, it was, I have to do. I said, no, I don't believe that. I don't know why, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. And I just walked away. And what we did was, it was suggested to us to go to Northwestern Hospital in Chicago. I was originally with the University of Chicago. Both excellent, let me say, hospitals.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yes,
excellent on the chart transplant centers. But I was so physically and mentally exhausted, Kim. I just didn't want to do it. I was just ready to go on dialysis. I was like, come on, bring it. I'm just tired. And so my godson insisted, family insisted, no, do it. The great thing was, we called them, my doctor spoke with them. All of our labs were sent over, because I thought we were going to have to do all that lab work. And that's a lot of stuff you have to get tested for. Oh my God, it's just a plethora of things. And they said, we got it. Nope, these are still current. They called the day after. She got all my records over there like overnight. And they called the day after and they said, we want to meet with you guys. Really? Okay, we go. They say, we got good news and bad news. What you want first? Well, we want the good news. The good news is, you are an excellent potential recipient, and he is definitely an excellent donor. And we were just like so happy and screaming, oh my God. And it's like, wait, what's the bad news? This was probably a Monday or a Tuesday. Oh, we can't get you in for the transplant until this Friday. Does that work for you guys?
Oh man,
they were just being funny. I guess they say this girl needs some cheer up, And so there we were, March 4th, which was a Friday, 2000. Oh, and by the way, and sometimes I forget this, and I think it's because You know, I have so much love for people who have had to endure dialysis for years. I watch Phil sometimes, and I just think about, God, please get him his kidney. I had to only do it for 6 months, but it was a long 6 months. Let me say that, because that's important.
Well, Bella, can you say a little bit more about that? Like, I mean, I'm definitely getting your emotion through the
Yeah, I'm
screen.
sorry.
That, but
Sorry about that.
no, don't, no, please. Like that's what people need to be in touch with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask you to bring it, right? Like, what is
Yeah.
it that had, like, people don't know,
Mm-mm.
and it's like the hospitals, right? Like, they're great, they do what they do.
Right, right,
But
right.
people, really, guys, we want you to open your wallets. We want you to open your
Yes,
hearts
yes.
and donate. That we're inside a
Please,
telethon to make a
please.
difference for people so they don't have to suffer. And Bella, clearly you are a woman of God and you're a woman of power. And the fact that you even got emotional, I know is a lot. But for
Yeah,
people watching, it's like, oh,
yeah.
she got a little emotional. No, no, no. Like, give
No.
them a sense of what that is like for people so they can know that their money's
Yeah,
going to a good cause.
yeah. So, let me just say this: time is a factor and isn't a factor. And so, what I mean by that is meaning the time factor of being on dialysis.
Mhm.
Uh, that's when life really got real to me, surreal. The
Yeah.
day, like I had my vascular surgeon did the procedure for a fistula. Many people don't know what that means, but guys, when you see, excuse me, people with these huge veins in their arms, and it's kind of scary too, because when the whole point in a fistula is to prepare the arm to be able to deal with the dialysis, right?
Mhm.
So I'm trying to sum this up in a nutshell. So our own veins cannot take the hit of dialysis through the needle. It's not a needle, it's called a cannulator. And
Okay.
that cannulator that needle, I'm just going to call it a needle, but the medical term is cannulator. It's in different gauges. This looks big, but it's thick. That
Okay.
needle is about this thick. I had a 15 gauge.
Yeah.
That needle is not like your little shot needle that everybody wants to cry about when they're getting a little shot.
Which, by the way, like, for those of us, like, I hate needles.
Yeah,
So,
most people
and I
do.
had a traumatic experience when I was a kid. So I'm like really getting it
So,
now
so put a
because
pin in
those are
that, Kim.
scary.
Yeah, put a pin in that and think about having to do this 3 times a week for a 3 hour period, 3 to 4, depends on the patient. And some of them, the gauges are larger, right? And it's because what it's doing is draining all the blood out of you and cleaning it through the machine and recycling it
Wow.
back inside you. So there's going to be weakness. It causes you to feel weak. It causes you to be cold a lot.
Hmm.
Most dialysis patients suffer from anemia, right? They suffer from edema, which is water retention, swelling of the
Hmm.
extremities.
Hmm.
It messes with you mentally. Most don't sleep well, maybe 2 hours a night, 3 hours. Headaches, vision issues. I mean, nightmares. I wasn't a nightmare person, guys. And I used to have nightmares when I was on dialysis. And when I would open my eyes, it's like I would still kind of be in the nightmare, but I knew I was awake, and I would see things on my ceiling, and I would have to literally sit up and shake my head a little bit and just blink a few times. It was the craziest thing that I had ever experienced. So I tell people, dialysis is not a cure. It is just a source to keep you alive. And you're going to have good days, Kim, and you're going to have bad days. And usually you're going to have more bad than good.
And I mean, what I'm getting from you right now, Bella, and I pray that the audience is getting, is, historically I've heard it like, oh, you go in, you do the treatment, you come back out, right? And it's like, oh, that no, it's literally a lifestyle. It's
Yes.
a it's sorry. I'm just because
Mhm.
I really got it. It's a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
nightmare. Yeah. And like the overcomer said, yeah, you can have extreme weight loss or weight gain because I didn't lose any weight. That's how I gained my weight,
Mhm.
during the progression of my illness
Mhm.
and dialysis.
Yeah.
That's how I gained so much weight,
Yeah.
and so guys, the many of them don't, they don't eat, you don't eat right, your eating is off, everything in your
Mm,
life is off,
mm,
everything. And the fact that they can't do the normal things,
mm-mm.
most of us don't travel because why? You're tied to that machine.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
tied to that machine at least 3 days a week. Now, I chose peritoneal. Now, what peritoneal is, that's done through the abdomen.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's where I had to. And the reason I chose that is because the first day I sat down for dialysis, and I love my dialysis nurse. We spent months together, right,
Mhm. Yeah.
preparing me for this. And when after I got the fistula, it was supposed to be 6 weeks for that fistula to mature. What they're doing, the vascular surgeon goes in, he merges two of your veins in order to create a larger vein. And it takes that vein 6 weeks to mature before they can use it. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why you ended up seeing most the dialysis patients, it looks like really bad. It looks defective, and they have to be very careful and wear a sleeve or something over it, because if you cut that vein in some kind of way, you're going to bleed out.
Oh my God.
Especially if you're not near anyone that knows how to do a professional tourniquet.
Mm.
And so they said the vein was ready. That's what they told me. So when I sat down at the hospital in that chair for the first time, and I had a few family members around me for support, and it was done on the cancer floor. And
Mhm.
that made me sad because I knew, these other patients were there getting chemo treatments and things. And I'm just feeling for them. I could just feel that sadness and energy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Yeah.
remember they walked away from me for a little bit, to take care of something, and I looked at this lady, and she was alone, and I could feel her pain and sadness, and I said, "Excuse me," and she looked up at me. I said, "It's gonna be okay. We're gonna be fine." And she just cried, she's like, "Thank you." She was about to undergo her first chemo treatment. And then I looked over and saw a little boy getting chemo, and he was with his coloring books, and he had his little head thing, earphones on, and he's laughing. And I said, from that moment, seeing him, seeing her, I will not sit here and woe is me.
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
going to do it. It's going to be fine, And if this child can be that happy in
Mhm.
what he's going through as a kid, so undeserving,
Mhm.
and this lady's here by herself, and she's just trying to hang on, it's going to be all right. And
Mhm.
so when they went to cannulate me, my nurse, instead of going inside the vein, she went through it, and what that's called infiltration. And
Mm.
at that moment, that was the most excruciating pain I had.
Mm.
I can't imagine having
Mm.
felt a pain like that. And I said, "You guys, I love you, but step back." Because, because some kind of reflex action is about to happen. Girl, I'm like, "Oh my God." And I remember tears were coming out of my eyes, and she felt so bad. And I'm not saying
Of
it,
course. Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
I mean, but I really didn't want to, jump or have a reflexive action. And she was so apologetic. And I said, "It's okay, it's okay." And her partner who was working with her asked her, because they're trying to stop the bleeding. And she said, "Did you tell Bella about peritoneal, about PD? Because it just seems so much more suitable for her lifestyle." And so she said, well, I didn't because, you know, XYZ. And I said, what is PD? And that's when they explained it to me. And that's when you do that from home. Okay. And you put the tube, a surgical procedure, you're going to have to always have this tube hanging from your abdomen. I just made a little funny, sexy name for the tube, and I ain't going to say what he was called. But anyway, you know, it was like a little cowgirl thing going on right there. Like I was lasso, you know. But you have to be, but PD is not suggested to everyone because you have to be very, very sanitary, clean. They come out, they view where you live, your environment, where are you going to store all these supplies, because Baxter comes every week with boxes of supplies. Downsides, you got to dialyze every day, and it's not just a little, unless you do the day cycler thing. I couldn't do that. I was a cop. I was still going to work. And so I was dialyzing 10 hours a night, 7 days a week. I would have to be on the machine by 8 p.m. And everybody who ever came in my room had to mask up. My children, whoever, if I had a visit, you couldn't even really come in there. Once I'm on that machine, I'm tied to it unless there's a fire, you know, and the cord was very long. So I had a big bedroom. I could move around. I could go in my private restroom, had a fridge, microwave. I had everything I needed, but that was shut down at 5 a.m. You have to be careful, because if you get an infection in that tube, it's called peritonitis, and that will take you out. It's going to be a terrible infection in your entire peritoneum. So with that's cleaning your peritoneum as opposed to flushing out blood. It's not a blood thing with PD. It's cleaning through your peritoneum, but it's very dangerous. You know, it's very dangerous, and you have to be very careful, because that infection will put you in the hospital in ICU. I know people that it's happened to. And so they wanted me to take a leave. I refused, because I knew that I was going to need to keep my spirits up. And that's what I was doing, seeking to accomplish.
Again, that's a perfect thing that you're putting out there. You know, I hear this over and over again. It's like people take leaves and they do things, and their souls aren't getting fed.
Looks like we lost her for a minute, but I'm sure Bella will be back. Just bear with us here. This is such an amazing story. Like, I can't believe. I just want to say shout out to Gayatri here. Bella, what an amazing story. And believe it or not, we've been through dialysis in our family too. So, I mean, it's pretty much everything. My dad was on for 6 months. So, yeah. So, I mean, what she's describing is absolutely, like, I've been there. I've seen the machine, the blood cycles. We lost her for a minute. Hopefully she'll come back. The blood cycles through. I was trying to find a picture if I still had it, but it's not on this phone. And it's not pretty. And the only man on planet Earth that got off dialysis without a kidney transplant.
Really?
Only one.
Seriously?
And he didn't die. Honest to God. God healed him. His creatinine levels were triple when he started. I remember we had a team of doctors around his best, Dr. Kadri's team in Windsor, Ontario. Shout out to them. And only one I know of that got off dialysis without a kidney transplant after 6 months of being on dialysis and was A-okay, never to have any kidney problems ever again.
Spectacular. Wow.
Power of prayer. And Bella is back. All right.
I'm so sorry, guys. I lost power. Oh my God.
Well, is everything okay? Are you okay?
Yes. But
okay.
Can you see me okay? Because I had to switch to my cell phone.
No, we can see you just fine. And it was great because Dorothy got to do an amazing share that they got to hear about. So no, please pick up where you left off.
Okay. And I apologize. I was telling you guys, just the PD isn't offered often because they feel it is dangerous.
Because it's so dangerous.
Yeah, you have to be
Yeah.
very, very careful about that. And
Yeah.
so I'll take these out if you can hear me okay, Kim. Can
Yeah,
you hear me
we can
fine?
hear you
Okay.
great. Yeah, we can hear you great.
So I would jump and clean that tube. I'd have to wrap it up in this secure surgical plastic, jump in the shower, get out. I put my uniform on and I went to work every day for 6 months. I was on it 6 months until everything. That's when it led up to the finalization of what I shared with you guys about. By the way, my donor's name is Roger Reynolds. And everything was finalized with him. Northwestern took us in. We went in the hospital on March 4th, which was a Friday. We at 5 a.m. we had the transplant that morning. The transplant went great. They came and told my family he was great because both our families were there. He did great. They took, of course, him in first. And I was like, take care of him. Don't let anything happen to him. That's what I was telling my doc. He's fine. He's in good hands. And they came out to tell my family that it went well with me. And they said, well, we had this one little issue. What I loved about Northwestern, they like to joke.
Yeah.
And they were like, with her, well, what was wrong? What happened? And they said, well, first of all, we hooked the kidney up and it was great. She got a great kidney. She started producing urine right away. And they go, well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But she just peed all over our operating room. I have an aunt who doesn't have much of a sense of humor. So she was pretty upset about that because they scared her at first. And everybody's just laughing. Yeah, we had to have them come and mop it up because she's just peeing everywhere, So he went home the next day, March 4th. So he was only in there one day. Wow. And he's fine, like it never happened. I went home the next day, that Sunday, which was also my 43rd birthday that day. Wow. So back up, Kim. What did I say? I became afflicted with this illness on the weekend of my birthday. And God ended up blessing me with that gift of life on the weekend of my 43rd birthday.
It was full. Right?
It was full. It was full. And this is why it's so important for us to, to have, just an attitude of gratitude, to have, humility, and just to understand the importance of recognizing and acknowledging where this gift comes from, because it's not ours. It was given to us, by God and by the grace of whoever that donor was. So it's important for us to remember after we get it, that we have a duty. We have a duty. Yes, we have a duty to enjoy our new gift of life, but let's not forget that we have to use that gift to help other people.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine in some ways, how could you not, when you've gone through that experience? And something I've got brand new tonight, and I'm the majority, right? That is walking around, participating at a really high level, right? Absolutely clueless to the world, right?
Yeah.
That the second chance provides. And your share tonight has been so powerful, and I am present now to just like really the opportunity that second chances and that transplant opportunities are for people to connect to humanity in ways that are profound,
right?
Profound.
Yes.
Like your reconnection with God, with life, with other human beings, those 4 candidates, that the doctors, the nurses, the level of love and connection and completion, full circle completion that's now available for you, for all those people, and especially your donor.
Yeah.
Like I'm realizing now. I mean, I'm on the card, right? Like I do the right thing, right? And I'm really clear that by being powerfully engaged in hello, your wallet is a powerful place to engage, right? That we can all be part of the solution in reconnecting society and mankind. This is
Absolutely.
huge. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I realize, I acknowledge that everyone is not a speaker. Some people are shy. But there are so many ways to give back. If in fact you are not someone who feels like you'd like to come on a podcast, which I have my own podcast, Bella's Hope for Healing, to talk in that way. However, there are so many things that you can do behind the scenes. First and foremost, like you can give to this organization who's out here giving you the news, giving you the 411 on what's happening in the transplant world, on these medications. See, there's still, I want to say this too, having a transplant doesn't cure chronic kidney disease either, because there are risks involved. Just the surgery itself, you have to deal with potential rejection. Some diseases, even such as unfortunately mine, FSGS, is one of the that's one that can come back and attack the transplanted kidney. But do you hear that? Knock, knock, knock. That's not going to happen to Bella, because God is not going to have it. Okay. So let me just say that right now. I rebuke that in Jesus' name. But I'm just saying, there is things that you need to know after a transplant. Many of these meds cause long-term side effects. I'll just share just a few of mine. Now, I have never suffered a rejection. Like that doctor said, and he called it, I got a great kidney. I really did. I have never had any problems. I'm so grateful my godson's life is normal, like it never happened. He's been on the Second Chance before, as well as my show and others, and shared about that, just like Trish has done. They are fine. But for us, the meds, unfortunately, long-term, and when you're talking about people, guys, which I didn't say, so March 4th, I'll be 18 years post, right? 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Okay. That was a little bummer to me at first, because again, I'm healthy, but so what did I do? I reverted right back to what I did in the beginning. Wait, put me on what? Okay, this is how we gonna do this. Because it wasn't out of control. Type 2, I didn't need insulin. I said, okay, I'm going to change my diet over again. I have a good diet. I never went back to beef, pork. I cut salt out of my diet when I was diagnosed with kidney disease. But these things happened because of the meds. That's a very popular thing, in fact, with kidney disease, especially with transplantation. The further out you are, the meds can start causing things. So based on that, I made changes. They check my A1C, my endocrinologist every 3 months. My nephrologist checks it first. And I'm seeing an endocrinologist now. And the last one, when I saw him, he said, wow, he was literally sitting there looking at my labs like, this is just amazing. He said, I'm just telling you this. I won't have one patient that comes in here this week and have the kind of labs you got. He said, I can't even believe. He said, you have maintained all these years your A1C. He said, why did you come to see me? Did you just want to look at me? I go, no, I felt I should still see. He said, no, I'm teasing you. He said, but here's the real deal. You don't need to be on anything. He was like, you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing, because you didn't need to be on anything right now.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So, and Bella, thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard to believe we're over an hour.
I know.
It's like crazy, right? What you put in at the end was just too precious to step over. It's an ongoing, right? Yeah. And it really is a testimony that all of us to live our best lives and to really treat our vessels at the
Yes.
highest level possible, and each other.
Right. And get
Be there for
your
each other.
get when you do physicals every year, ask for a renal panel.
Yes.
Renal panel. That's going to check your kidney function, because that's the thing about these things. High blood pressure is a silent killer, and so is kidney disease, and they work in tandem.
Okay.
So you need to check their renal panel.
Well, that's huge that you gave the audience that. And audience, we love you, and we are so excited for who's up next. And please be a part of Second Chance in any way that you can. Whatever is pulling at your heartstrings, please respond to that. And next up on the 12-hour live stream fundraiser is Jared A. Brown with guest Edward Drake and Archie Smith.
Yeah,
so
check out Bella's Hope for Healing.
That's
Bella's
right.
Hope for Healing,
That's right.
guys. YouTube, Facebook. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy New Year. Thank you.